Welcome to Blend with TechWorks, the show where we talk tech, product, and building with people in mind. I'm Kamil. Today we're talking about something every leadership team secretly groans about. That is data chaos. You know the scene. Finance has their Oracle report, sales has Salesforce open, op is waving a spreadsheet, and the first 20 minutes of the meeting are spent arguing which number is right. To unpack why this happens and how we can fix it, I'm joined by Sarah Reynolds, Chief Data Officer, who's spent the last decade helping enterprises get their data house in order. Sarah, welcome.
Thanks, Bauman. And yes, what you just described, that's basically my job description. Half of my calendar is watching smart people fight over which number is the real one.
It's painful, isn't it? But also kind of universal.
Totally. And it's not that anyone's buried their job. It's just that we built these Franken systems over the years. Finance running Oracle, saves on Salesforce, production still tied to some legacy ERP, marketing with their own tool, and so on. And all of it kind of works until you try to stitch it together.
Yeah, then suddenly the same revenue number shows up five different ways.
Exactly. And people lose trust. They stop making decisions off the data because it feels like a gamble. Worse, they make a call, and a week later, someone finds a different number, and now there's finger pointing and all sorts of blame games going on.
That's a good analogy, and the cost of that is huge. Missed decisions, slow responses, and in most cases, I've seen even lost customers.
Not to mention morale. People get burned out arguing about data instead of solving problems. And then someone says, hey, let's do AI. And I'm like, wait, you can't even agree on last quarter's sales.
Right, A on top of chaos just gives you faster, prettier chaos.
Haha, exactly.
So, Sarah, how do you even begin to fix that? Because it feels massive. Multiple tools, multiple owners, red taping politics, all sorts of things.
Well, the first thing I tell leaders is don't try to fix everything. Pick one critical process, something that's causing the most pain. It might be order to cash, it might be supply chain visibility. Get everyone who touches that process in a room finance, ops, IT, sales, whoever owns a piece of it.
So, a bit of discovery workshop.
Exactly. And honestly, it's half group therapy. People suddenly see, oh, that's why my report never matches yours. And there's usually a whiteboard full of arrows, a couple of, wait, you're pulling that from rare moments? And then it clicks. We need one agreed path for this data.
And that's where you start to design the fix.
Right. Build one dependable pipeline for that process. Clean up the naming, agree on definitions, put some simple checks in place so you know if data is late or broken. And most importantly, make one view everyone can look at. If ops and finance open the same dashboard or not, you won.
I love that. But you know what's coming? Getting buy-in. And believe me, it's not easy. CFOs care about one thing, CSIs another, CEOs or COOs yet another. So, how do you bring them all along and align them?
With stories, not slides. See, with a CFO, I'll remind them about the meeting where two reports didn't match and we wasted 20 minutes. They always groan. Then I say, this fixes that argument.
Well, you're doing some cherry picking. Why just the CFO? What about with the CISO?
With the CISL, I focus on safety. We're labeling sensitive fields at the door. We know exactly who can see what, and we can trace a number back if an auditor calls. That's their language.
So, if we've talked about the CFO, CISO, how about for our audience, the COO?
With the COO, I literally walk the floor. Here's one screen your team can check at 9 a.m. It updates the reality, not last week's data.
Oh, that's so much more human than talking about lineage or semantic models. And honestly, in my previous experience, you're very right. I never understood these kind of things, especially the semantic models.
I know, right? No one buys governance for governance' sake. They buy fewer fires, faster decisions, and fewer angry emails.
Wow. Okay. So we've got, imagine we've got everyone in the room. They've seen the problem. They've stopped pointing fingers. Wish luck to a lot of people with that. But then what happens next?
This is where I make what I call the 90-day promise. Give me one process, just one, and 3 months, and we'll turn it from data chaos into something you can actually run a business on.
You gotta walk me through it.
Well, month one is all about discovery and plumbing. We sit down with every team touching that process: finance, ops, sales, and crease where the numbers come from. And it's always eye opening. Someone says, "Wait, you still pulling that from Excel?" Another one says, "Oh, our report filters out half the data because of a bug we never fixed." It's a messy map at first, but then we connect the dots.
And this is where terms like data lake come in, right?
Right, right. We set up one place where the data lands consistently. Call it a data lake or a lake house. Doesn't matter as long as it's one source everyone pulls from. The magic isn't the tech. It's actually that we now have one agreed definition for something like revenue or on-time delivery.
So give me a real example of that making difference. I'm experiencing one, but I'd really like to hear one from you.
Sure. So I worked with a manufacturer where production data was coming from the shop floor in one system, shipments were tracked in another, and finance was doing its own thing on Oracle. By the time the CFO saw the numbers, they were already a week behind reality. So we set up what you'd call a lakehouse, basically one landing zone where all of that data flowed together in near real time. Suddenly we could see the entire process as one chain. If a machine slowed down at 2 p.m., finance could see the revenue impact that same day.
That must have been a game changer.
Oh, it was. It was. Operations started using it to schedule maintenance more intelligently, finance stopped chasing numbers, and the COO could run a production meeting looking at live data instead of last week's slide. Month two is when we tightened dollar, cleaned up naming conventions, filled gaps where data was missing, and put some guardrails in place. If sales data stopped showing for a day, and an alert went out before the next exec meeting and not after the fact. And we added what I call contracts tests. Little checks that say, is today's data fresh, complete, sane? And you know how it goes.
So, Sarah, what you're saying is that you're building trust step by step.
Oh, absolutely. Because you see, by month three, we stopped talking about pipes and start talking about what people actually see. We built one clean dashboard for the execs and one operational screen for the folks on the floor. The first time they all opened the same screen and nodded instead of arguing, we knew we'd done our job right.
So, is this when the AI question can come back?
Yes, this is the fun part, because now, if we want to add a simple forecast, say predicting which orders might be late, we know the data feeding that model is trustworthy. Otherwise, AI is just a very fancy guessing machine.
That's such a clear picture. So, it's not digital transformation, it's just cleaning the kitchen before you cook.
Now, I love the way you've put it, because nobody wants to eat dinner off a dirty counter. This is just about getting the basics right, so you can actually use the fancy stuff later.
So what I've seen is that our audience is kind of overwhelmed with a lot of information, and we're just going to move into the wrapping up of our conversation. So yeah, all right, Sarah. If someone listening to this and they're feeling that pain today, what's the very first thing they should do Monday morning?
Well, they should grab the people who fight about numbers the most and put them in a row. And then they map out where they each get their data. You see, 9 times out of 10, you find the disconnect in under an hour. That's your starting point.
Beautiful, simple, doable, and kind of cathartic. Sarah, thanks for making this topic feel less scary and honestly kind of hopeful.
Thanks, Carol. The mess is normal, the fix is possible, and it's worth doing. Once you see everyone looking at the same number for the first time, it's a game changer.
Love that. All right, folks, that's it for today's episode of Blend with TechWorks. Thanks for spending some time with us. If you enjoyed this conversation, share it with someone who's been in one of those dwelling dashboard meetings. You might just save them a headache. Make sure to follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. We'll be back with another conversation about building better systems and better teams. Until then, take care and maybe start by finding just one number everyone can agree on. Ciao.